Hello guys, welcome back to Itisri's tutorial. Today we will be studying the rules of voice sense. Guys, first we need to know what is voice. What is voice? In English grammar, verbs have 5 properties. They are voice, mood, tense, person and number. And today we are concerned with voice. So let's know what does mean by voice. Guys, voice is the form of a verb which is used to indicate whether subject of the verb performs or receives the action. What is voice here? Voice is the form of a verb. Voice is a form of a verb which is used to indicate whether subject of the verb performs or receives the action. In simple word we can say voice tells us whether subject acts or it's acted upon. Got it? Now let's know types of voices. In English grammar there are two types of voices, active voice and passive voice. Let's know what is active voice. Guys, in active voice, the subject of the verb performs an action which the verb describes. What happens here? In active voice, the subject of the verb performs an action that is the verb describes. That means a sentence has subject that acts upon its verb. Guys, active voice mainly focuses on the action. Now, let's take an example. I love apple. Another example, the tiger chased the dog. I play football. In these above sentences have active voice containers. And the structure of active voice is subject plus verb plus object. I love apple, I is subject, love is verb and object is apple. The tiger chased the dog, the tiger subject, chased verb and the dog is object. In these sentences, the subject I performs the action described by the verb love. I love apple. In this sentence, the subject I performs the action described by the verb love. And in the second sentence, the tiger is subject and it performs an action described by chased. Is it clear? Next is passive voice. In passive voice, something is done to the person or thing. In active voice, subject of the verb performs an action that is described by that verb describes. But in passive voice, something is done to the person or thing denoted by the subject. Or we can say passive voice tells what is done to someone. What is done to someone or something. That means object is the receiver of the action. Here object is the receiver of the action. In active voice, the subject of the verb performs the action, but in passive voice, the object is the receiver of the action. What is the structure of passive voice? Object plus verb plus subject. Let's take an example. I play football. The same example you can take. I play football. I is subject, plays verb and football is object. But what is its passive form? Football is played by me. In this sentence, action's target is the focus and the verb played acts upon the subject I. Guys, here the components of both the statements both in active voice and passive voice are same, but the structure is different. Here we come to know that active voice has a stronger, clearer tone than the passive voice. Here another thing we noticed that when we change the active voice to passive voice, the verb form changes. To know how this happens, we need to know the rules of active voice and passive voice. Let's know them one by one. First rule is the arrangement of the words in a sentence in the active voice. The arrangement of the words in active voice is changed. That means the subject of the verb in the active voice becomes the object in the passive voice. In the example, I play football. It is active form and its passive form is cricket is played by me. Its subject I becomes object of passive form. Subject I of active voice becomes the object of passive voice. And pronoun also changed here. I changed to me. Similarly, she becomes her, he becomes his, they becomes them, we becomes us. Next rule is, in passive voice, phrases always use the third form of the verb. In passive voice phrases always use the third form of the verb. In this sentence, in this example, play becomes played. Its third form of play is played. Next rule, generally by is used. Football is played by me. Generally, by is used before the object in passive voice. Football is played by me. Guys, that's all for today. In the next class, we will learn the changes required under each tenses. The changes required under each tenses. We will learn one by one, but in the next video. Till then, bye-bye and take care.